Hi everyone, I am Fran Gulick from Cotton and Joy, and I am here today at the Riley Blake Design Studios, and today I'm going to show you how to sew a Nordic Gnome pillow pattern. This is an extension pattern of my full Nordic Gnome pattern, which you can see back here, and most of the sizes are going to be, and the templates for these triangle pieces are included in the pattern. However, some of the other pieces for the pillow, you'll need the extension pattern, which you can find on my website. The first thing that we need to do is complete one Nordic Gnome block. And I'm going to show you how to sew these 60-degree angles, because I know a lot of people are intimidated by those 60-degree angles, and they're really not that hard. So the first thing we're going to do is take our hat unit and one of the background pieces, and we are going to place them right sides together. And the main thing that you need to know about these 60-degree angles pieces is that they are going to be a little overlap. So you see overlap there, and then at the very top there's also overlap, and that's just basically your 1/4 inch seam allowance. So you just need to make sure that this piece is flush with that edge and that edge, and we are going to sew on this long edge right here with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And then once you've sewn it, you are going to take it to our pressing station, and you can press to the side or you can press it open. I like to press these pieces open to avoid the bulk at the very tip. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and first, we are going to set the seam, and then I am going to press open, and I like to finger press my pieces open first. That just makes it a little easier for me. And you can press. And for this part right here, you can see it's kind of bulking up. That's when you can use a quilter's clapper that makes it lay nice and flat. And if you use steam, that'll also make it a little better. And then we're gonna take it back here, and we're gonna do this piece now. And it's the same thing where there's a tiny bit of overlap. And you can see here, there's that little dog ear from the other piece. And you just line up this point with that overlap right there, and you'll have that overlap right here as well. Okay, and then we're going to press this open once again, and this is when I like to give this unit a nice spritz with the water bottle, and just give it a nice final press to make it nice and flat. And the next step on making this block, it's sewing the body unit and the hat unit together. And I wanted to show you this part because sometimes matching up the nose can be a little tricky. I made this piece because I am not a fan of applique, so it's all piece. And what you want to make sure is that the seam on both units are matching up here on the nose. And for this part, I do pin it, so there's no shift on these. So I like to pin right here. Oops. And then another one at this end. And then you just sew with your 1/4 inch seam allowance. Take off the pins, and I like to press this either towards the hat unit or press it open. In this case, I'm just going to press to the hat unit. So I'm going to set the seam first. And then I like to finger press this up, and then I'm gonna give it a quick mist for one last press to make sure it's laying nice and flat. Okay. And the steps to make the other parts of the body and the instructions, the full instructions for that are gonna be in the pattern. And the next steps to complete the pillow is we'll need these pieces, which are in the extension, and we're gonna lay them out like this. Oops, my board is not big enough, that's okay. And first we'll sew the top here, and then the bottom, and then these two here. So I'll go ahead and do that really quick. And there we go. That's all you need for the pillow top. And then you would take some batting and a little bit of backing fabric and quilt this. And that's gonna look like this. Oops, here we go. So this one's already been quilted, as you can see. And I just used some white fabric on the back. And I just used some straight line quilting, and the lines are every half an inch, just like this one. And then the next step is actually making it into a pillow cover. And I'm gonna show you how to do that. Let me put this over here. So put this like that. Oops. And then you'll need these two backing pieces. The sizes for these are on the extension pattern right here, which it's on my website. And they're 19 by 14 and 19 by 11. And that 5-inch overlap is what makes it the envelope on the back. And the first thing we're going to need to do is actually press a seam on, press these close. So we're going to press 1/4 inch and then over once again. So let me show you how to do that. So that will make it so the raw edges are not there. Doing this backwards, hold on. It's easier if you start on this side, if you're left-handed like me. And you can measure this and be really perfect with it. I am not a perfect quilter, so I just kinda eye it. And then you'll press it over once more. You want to take it all the way to the end. And then we'll take it to our sewing machine and sew this close. And you can match the thread to the fabric or not. In this case, I'm just using white thread because they're just going on my couch with my kids, so it doesn't really matter. And so here's sewn nice and close, and then we'll do the same thing with this one. So put it on your pressing station and then fold a 1/4 inch or so. And then take it to your sewing machine and sew it close. Okay, so in order to make the envelope, you'll lay your quilted pillow top right face down, and then your two backing pieces with your right side up, and then we are using binding on it, and I have this prepared. It is just two width of fabric strips, and I'll just lay it and sew all around and then flip it to the front, and I like to stitch mine on the top to make sure that the front always looks really nice. So you'll pin these first, like to pin the corner, and then I like to put two pins here so these don't shift. This one right here, we'll do one more at the center of each, right here. And then you'll take your binding and just kind of put it on top, and you can use binding clips. I don't, just because it makes it faster. And you'll start sewing and sew your binding like you usually would for a quilt. Now, I know everybody does this a little bit differently, but I like to just put them almost touching. So that pin is going to be my marker. I'm just going to cut that right there. And then, so the pin is the marker, and these are 2 1/4 inches, so they need to overlap by 2 1/4 inches. Yep. I use my little pen right here and mark these. Then it needs to be away from me. And then you'll take the left side, right side's up, and the right side's down, and we'll sew a line right there. And then you'll just cut the remnants. And then for this part, I just finger press this open and then finish sewing my binding on. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, once you've sewn that down, we're gonna take all these pins out, and that does the job of sewing the binding in, but then also sewing your back pieces in. And then flip this over and sew the binding down to get your finished pillow. I like to do it this way because it's through machine and it's faster, and since it's a pillow, it gets tossed around a lot, especially with my kids and my dog at home. And you can use binding clips at this point. I usually don't because I'm a rebel. And then I try to get as close as possible to the edge. So it's about like an 1/8 of an inch, and you can kind of feel it. It's kind of hard to show you on video, but you can feel here. So it will end up being the stitch line would be just outside of here. And then I don't want to show you for the corners. I just make sure that when I'm folding, you fold kind of the opposite way of how it's in the back to avoid bulk. Okay, so now that it's all, the binding is all sewed down, you can see it looks really nicely, and that second binding stitch on it with the machine also makes it so these backing pieces are nice and secure. And you're all done with your pillow, and the last thing left to do is stuffing it with your pillow form. You can use anything from an 18 by 18 to a 20 by 20. It just kind of depends on how fluffy you want your pillow. And you just stuff it in the back. Make sure it's nice and fluffy. And the overlap makes it nice and close. And there we have it, a finished Nordic Gnome pillow. And like I said, you'll need the pattern that's available on my website, and also the extension pattern, which is in the blog portion of my website. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for coming today. It's been a pleasure showing you how to do this.